Well, not all the troops, Sandra. There's universal acknowledgement here in the Pentagon that pulling all U.S. troops out of Iraq in 2011 was a big mistake and not to be repeated. But in a small ceremony in Baghdad yesterday, the U.S. military disbanded its headquarters overseeing all American ground troops in Iraq as the war against ISIS winds down. This means hundreds of U.S. troops will be potentially pulling out, but roughly 5,000 U.S. troops will still be on the ground, and a higher-level U.S.-led command will remain in Baghdad to advise their Iraqi military counterparts and make sure ISIS stays underground and doesn't hold territory. A U.S. Special Operations Task Force will also remain. In a sign of how much the ISIS war has wound down, there were only 5 airstrikes in Iraq last week compared to 21 in Syria. There were more airstrikes in Afghanistan last month than Iraq and Syria. And in December, Iraq's prime minister declared an end to combat operations against ISIS, but is now facing parliamentary elections later this month, including against some Iranian-backed candidates, Sandra.
Lucas, what does the future look like for U.S. troops in neighboring Syria?
Well, in an interview with reporters yesterday, Defense Secretary Mattis said he doesn't want to see all 2,000 U.S. troops pulled out of Syria before the diplomats have had a chance to win the peace. But on Capitol Hill late last week, he told lawmakers about the increasingly complex battlefield involving Russian, Syrian, Iranian, and ISIS fighters. And he also offered more detail about a massive U.S. strike against Russian mercenaries back in February.
The Russian high command in Syria assured us it was not their people. And my direction to the chairman was for the force then was to be annihilated. And
Thank
it was.
Sir. Fair to say that a holding force right now without us would be a risky proposition for a while to come.
I'm confident that, that we would probably regret it.
Mattis also said the ISIS fight in Syria will be re-energized. Sandra?
Lucas Tomlinson, thank you.